everyone. This is second part of our discussion, the concept of income. And in this video, we will discuss more of the accounting for leasehold improvements. So what is a leasehold improvement? So a leasehold improvement is any improvement made by the lessee on the leased property in pursuant to the agreement between the lessor and the lessee, for which will become the property of the lessor upon the expiration or termination of the contract of the lease. So for example, if the lessor and the lessee agreed that the lessee will construct a building over the leased property, and then that building will become the property of the lessor, then that building is considered as a leasehold improvement. So again, the party making the improvement or constructing the improvement is the lessee, while the property being constructed, or yes, it's the lessor's property. So the leasehold improvement shall become the property of the lessor, and therefore there is a corresponding income that the lessor shall report in his income tax return. The value of such improvement will become an income of the lessor using either of the following methods. So in this accounting for leasehold improvements, there are two methods being used. So the first method in accounting for leasehold improvement is the outright method. Under the outright method, improvement is recognized as income when the improvement is completed. So for example, if the lessor and the lessee agreed that the lessee will construct a building on the leased property, and such building shall become the property of the lessor upon the termination of the lease contract, then the lessor shall recognize such improvement as his income when the construction is completed. Okay, you might be asking, why should the lessor recognize the improvement as his income, where in fact the lessee was the one who construct the building? So the reason is that since the lease agreement provides that the lease improvement or the building being constructed by the lessee will become the property of the lessor, then the lessor shall recognize such improvement as his income, because anyway, after the end of the lease contract, the improvement shall become his property. Okay? So you might be asking, how much or to what extent should the lessor report the improvement as his income? Well, the answer is simple. If the lessor is using outright method, then the entire fair value of the property, of the improvement, shall be considered as income. In that case, the fair value is equal to the cost of the property of the improvement as constructed by the lessee. Okay, so the second method is the spread out method. In this method, the estimated book value of the improvement at the end of the lease period is amortized or spread out over the term of the lease, and the income computed is reported every year until the lease is over. So unlike spread out method, the lessor under outright method, the lessor will recognize the entire cost or fair value of the leasehold improvement as his income. However, in contrast, in spread out method, the lessor will spread the book value of the improvement over the life of the contract of the lease. Okay, so let's have an example for these two methods. So assume that Miguel, the owner of 1 hectare land, entered into a lease agreement with Luigi. So Miguel is the lessor, while Luigi is the lessee, for a period of 10 years, beginning January 1, 2018. The terms of the lease provide that the lessee, who is Luigi, shall pay the lessor an amount of 150,000 pesos as 2-year deposit and 50,000 pesos for the annual lease fee. Second, the lessee shall erect or construct a building. The ownership of such building shall transfer to the lessor upon the expiration of the term of the lease or upon termination. The advance payment, that 150,000, is a security deposit, which shall be paid back to Luigi, the lessee, upon expiration. But in case of default of payment, such amount shall be appropriated, meaning in case Luigi, the lessee, failed to pay the annual lease fee, then the 100,000 shall be considered or appropriated as payment. The construction of the building began January 1, 2018, which is also the same as the commencement of the lease, and was completed on August 1, 2018, with a total cost of 2 million. The cost of construction equates to the fair value of the improvement. The improvement's useful life is 15 years. So let's analyze this problem. So Miguel, the lessor, entered into an agreement, a lease agreement with Luigi, the lessee, for a period of 10 years. The lease contract is effective for 10 years. And then Luigi, the lessee, will pay a security deposit of 150,000 pesos for a deposit, and then 50,000 pesos as the first year's or the annual lease fee. Aside from that, the agreement provides that the lessee, Luigi, will construct a building. The construction of the building began January 1, 2018, which is the same as the commencement or the start of the lease. And the construction was completed on August 1, 2018, with a total cost of 2 million. Now, under the outright method, the question is how much would be the income of the lessor under the outright method? So our solution would be the income of the lessor shall report the annual rent fee of 50,000 pesos, which is the 50,000 pesos, the annual rent, and then the cost of the improvement, which is 2 million. So regardless when it was completed, the entire amount, 2 million, is considered as income of the lessor. Why? Because again, the lessor expects that this improvement shall become his property at the end of the lease contract. Therefore, for the year 2018, the lessor will report an income of 2 million pesos and 50,000 pesos. So 2 million and 50,000 pesos. Okay? So we recognized outright the leasehold improvement as an income. Okay? Now let us use the same problem but using the spread out method. So Miguel, the owner of 1 hectare land, entered into a lease agreement with Luigi for a period of 10 years, beginning January 1, 2018. The terms of the lease provide that the lessee shall pay the lessor an amount of 150,000 pesos as a 2-year deposit, and 50,000 pesos is the annual lease fee. The lessee shall erect a building, and the ownership of which shall transfer to the lessor upon the expiration of the term of the lease or upon termination. The advance payment is a security deposit which shall be paid back to Luigi upon expiration, but in case of default of payment, such amount shall be appropriated. The construction of the building began January 1, 2018 and was completed on August 1, 2018 with a total cost of 2 million pesos. The cost of construction equates to the fair value of the improvement, and the improvement's useful life is 15 years. So basically, we have the same problem from the previous one, but in this case, we'll be using the spread out method. So what will be our solution? So first, we need to compute the estimated book value of the improvement at the end of the lease contract. Take note, it's the estimated book value of the improvement at the end of the lease contract. So, if the cost of the improvement was 2 million, then we will multiply by 120 over minus 7 months over 180 months. So what is this 120 minus 7? Okay? So remember that the lease contract is effective for 10 years. Therefore, 10 years is equal to 120 months, right? Whereas upon completion of the improvement, there has been 7 months already that has lapsed, right? From January to July 31. Remember that the completion happened on August 1. So from January to July 31, it's been 7 months since the lease contract has started. The 180 months is actually the useful life of the improvement. That is 15 years times 12 months. So the estimated book value of the improvement at the end of the lease contract is actually 2 million minus 1,255,556 7, therefore 744,000 and 444 pesos is actually the estimated book value of the improvement at the end of the lease contract. That 1,255,556 is the accumulated depreciation during the lessee's use of the improvement. So that is 113 months. Okay? Again, 2 million times 120 minus 7, this is 113. This is the number of months that the lessee will use the property. Okay? Why we deduct 7 months? Because the lease contract started on January 1, 2018, but the completion of the improvement only happened on August 1, 2018. Therefore, there has been 7 months that has been lapsed since the start of the lease contract. Okay, so 1,255 is our accumulated depreciation of the improvement. So we deduct the accumulated depreciation to get the estimated book value of the improvement at the end of the lease contract. So now we have the estimated book value that has 744, 444. We will now spread that amount over the remaining useful life of the lease contract. Okay, so this is the remaining value of the property to the lessor. So this is the amount, that's 744, the amount that the lessor shall recognize as his income. But we will spread that over the remaining life or months of the lease contract. So our second step will be we need to compute the apportion or spread the remaining value of the property throughout the remaining period of the lease. So if the estimated book value of the leasehold improvement is 444, then we will divide that by 120 minus 7 months. Again, why do we need to divide the estimated book value? Because from August 1, 2018, when the completion of the leasehold improvement, no, so there's only 113 months that the lessee will use the property. Even though the lease contract is for 120 months, even though it's 10 years, but the lessee can only use the improvement for 113 months, the remaining life or the remaining period of the lease. Because again, 7 months has been already lapsed. Okay? So, our monthly spread or monthly income will be 6,588 pesos. So this 6,588 pesos is the income, the monthly income of the lessor as spread, no? From the leasehold improvement. Okay? So again, that 6,588 is the monthly reportable income from the improvement. So now let's compute how much is the income of the lessor in 2018. So the annual rent fee of 50,000 pesos. We have the income from the improvement that is 6,588 times 5 months. Why 5 months? Let's count. August, September, October, November, and December. We have 5 months since the leasehold improvement is available for use. Therefore, the lessor for the year 2018 will only recognize 32,940 from the income from the leasehold improvement. Okay, a total of 82,940. So the next question would be, how about in 2019? So you just add 50,000 and then we have the annual income from improvement. That's 6,588 times 12 months. Okay? So that's it. That's how we compute income under spread out method. So again, in outright method, we recognize the entire cost or fair value outright or one time, the entire cost upon completion of the construction of the improvement. Whereas in spread out method, we spread the estimated book value of the improvement over the remaining life or period of the lease contract. Okay? So what about the security deposits? Remember that Luigi, the lessee, was required to pay a security deposit of 150,000. What about that? What will happen to that? Security deposits are refundable to the lessee once the contract is terminated upon maturity. Okay, it's refundable to the lessee. The security deposits are an insurance or guarantee to the lessor that the lessee will faithfully comply to the contract. Therefore, as these are refundable to the lessor has no right to declare or to report such deposit as his income. In fact, the lessor will recognize this deposit as a liability to his part, to the lessee. This, again, is not an income to the lessor. However, in the event of breach of contract, and if the parties agreed for an acceleration clause, what's the acceleration clause? For example, if the lessee defaulted a payment, let's say 1 year, 2 years, non-payment of the annual rent. Therefore, the lessor will use the security deposit as a payment to the defaulted rent. Okay? Such deposits shall be surrendered in favor of the lessor and only upon such time that the lessor will recognize this deposit as an income. Okay? How about the changes in the fair value of the property or improvement? If at the end of the lease contract, the fair value of the improvement is greater or lesser than the book value, the lessor shall recognize an additional income or loss respectively. Okay? Always remember that the lessor is a service-oriented party, being leasing certain properties. Therefore, income payments to him is recognized on cash basis. Also, a lessee may be engaged in servicing or merchandising business. Therefore, payments made by the lessee is an expense, either using cash basis or accrual basis. So I hope you learned a lot from this discussion, and I hope you watch the next videos for the next discussions. Thank you.